Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome everyone to the third lecture of week 3. Today we are going to learn about modernism, modernization and postcolonial India. Modernism in India was not merely a shift in architectural styles or urban planning methodologies. It was a cultural and ideological movement intertwined with the sociopolitical realities of postcolonial India. It symbolized India's aspirations to break free from colonial legacies and create a national identity rooted in modernity, progress, and inclusivity. This lecture explores the interplay of modernism, modernization, and the challenges of postcolonial India. Post 1947, India faced the dual challenges of rebuilding a nation ravaged by partition and charting a path towards industrialization and modernity. Urban planning and architecture were key tools in this transformative journey. Modernism offered a blueprint for a future-oriented society that rejected colonial dominance while embracing technological advancement. At the heart of this movement were two prominent figures, Jawaharlal Nehru and Le Corbusier. Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, viewed modernism as a way to shape a secular, rational, and progressive society. He envisioned cities as engines of economic and cultural renewal, believing they could embody the ideals of independence and industrial progress. Complementing this vision was Le Corbusier, a Swiss-French architect who introduced the international style to India. His work on Chandigarh exemplified clean, functional designs and showcased a future rooted in rational planning and egalitarian urban designs. Modernism in urban design was exemplified in Chandigarh's grid-based layout, which provided a structured and organized approach to urban life. The emphasis on functionality and minimalism reflected a deliberate break from traditional hierarchical aesthetics, positioning modernist cities as symbols of industrial progress and liberation from colonial architecture. The challenges of independence in 1947 fundamentally reshaped India's urban needs. The partition caused massive displacement, with millions and millions of refugees migrating across newly drawn borders. These refugees required urgent housing, employment, and access to amenities, prompting large-scale urban expansions. Additionally, the administrative restructuring necessitated by the division of Punjab and Bengal demanded the development of new state capitals to replace the regions ceded to Pakistan. The colonial legacy of New Delhi posed another challenge. Built as a monumental capital by the British, New Delhi symbolized imperial power and dominance, with its grand boulevard and imposing buildings. Nehru was critical of New Delhi, famously describing it as un-Indian. He sought to move away from these colonial influences, envisioning a new urban identity for India that reflected liberation and inclusivity. India's urban vision after 1947 was ambitious, with plans to build 300 new cities by the end of the century. These cities, such as Chandigarh, Bhubaneswar, and Gandhinagar, were designed to address regional imbalances, promote economic growth, and foster social mobility. Refugee camps that had sprung up in cities like Delhi and Kolkata during the partition were gradually transformed into planned neighborhoods such as Lajpat Nagar in New Delhi and Chittaranjan Park in Kolkata. In addition, new industrial towns like Durgapur in West Bengal and Raurkela in Orissa showcased India's commitment to modernization. Modernism in India marked a conscious and transformative departure from the ornate and hierarchical designs characteristics of colonial architecture. This shift symbolized India's aspirations as a newly independent nation striving to redefine its identity and align with the ethos of progress, equality, and technological advancement. It reflected a broader cultural and political movement that sought to shed the remnants of colonial dominance and embrace the ideals of modernity. Under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, India envisioned its cities as expressions of independence and self reliance. Nehru's vision was rooted in the belief that urban planning and architecture should embody the ideals of a progressive and egalitarian society. Cities were to be hubs of industrial capability, technological innovation, and rational planning. Spaces where equality and modernity were not ideals but also tangible realities. Nehru saw modern architecture as means to inspire collective aspirations for a better future, breaking away from the caste-based and feudalistic structures that characterize traditional Indian society. Le Corbusier, the renowned Swiss French architect, played a pivotal role in shaping this vision. His architectural philosophy aligned closely with Nehru's ideals as he rejected traditional ornamentation in favor of functionality, simplicity, and clean lines. Le Corbusier argued that architecture should serve as a tool for liberation, breaking free from constraints of tradition to foster environments conducive to modern living. His approach emphasized modularity, scalability, and efficiency, which he believed were essential for addressing the needs of rapidly urbanizing societies. The city of Chandigarh, designed by Le Corbusier, stands as a testament to this modernist philosophy. Conceptualized as a symbol of India's forward looking aspirations, Chandigarh featured minimalist structures, open spaces, and a strong focus on functionality. The city's layout reflected a grid based rationality with defined sectors and carefully planned public spaces. One of the most iconic elements of Le Corbusier's work in Chandigarh is the open hand monument, a massive metal structure that serves as a universal symbol of peace and reconciliation. This monument encapsulates the spirit of modernism by emphasizing inclusivity and progress while rejecting traditional and exclusionary designs. Its open palm, which swivels with the wind, symbolizes the dynamic and forward moving essence of modern thought, inviting dialogue and exchange. Though Chandigarh and similar projects, modernism in India sought to establish a visual and functional vocabulary that resonated with the ideals of independence and progress. It redefined architecture as a medium for fostering societal transformation, paving the way for a new identity grounded in equality, innovation, and a break from the colonial and traditional past. The implementation of modernism in India is best illustrated through these three significant examples: Chandigarh, Bhubaneswar, and Gandhinagar. Each city represents a unique experiment in modernist urban planning, reflecting India's aspirations and challenges. Chandigarh, designed by Le Corbusier, was conceived as a capital of Punjab after the partition. Such as the High Court, Secretariat, and Capitol complex, which symbolized India's commitment to rationality and progress. However, while Chandigarh became a model for modern urban planning, it was criticized for its rigid design and disconnection from Indian cultural traditions. The city's strict zoning system also hindered its ability to adapt historical temple town to a modern planned city is important to look into. Bhubaneswar has been historically significant as a temple town, known for Kalinga style architecture and cultural heritage. It was a major religious and cultural hub with numerous temples dating back to ancient and medieval times. When Orissa when Orissa its cultural identity. Otto Koenigsberger, a German architect and urban planner, was tasked with designing New Bhubaneswar. He was known for his expertise in planning cities in tropical climates and emphasized functionality and cultural integration in his designs. Koenigsberger plan sought to balance the city's ancient heritage with its emerging role as the modern urban center. He laid out wide roads, organized zones for administrative and residential purposes, and planned green spaces. A significant challenge was integrating Bhubaneswar's rich cultural and religious heritage into the modern urban planning. The goal was to respect the old while building a city for the future. Additionally, tensions arose between the old Bhubaneswar, centered around the Lingaraja temple and other ancient structures, and New Bhubaneswar, which is planned city with administrative offices, modern residential areas, and commercial spaces. The dichotomy created tensions between traditional and modern identities. Ravindra Mandap, an auditorium inspired by the former Buddhist stupa, exemplifies how modern structures were designed to reflect local traditions. This blending of modern functionality with architectural elements rooted in the region's cultural history highlights the efforts to integrate heritage into the contemporary design. Bhubaneswar became a model for rapid urbanization in Orissa, a state that was predominantly rural. The city's development demonstrated how to balance urban planning with the preservation of cultural heritage. The transformation of Bhubaneswar reflects broader themes of modernization, postcolonial identity, and the tensions between tradition and progress in newly independent nations. This case serves as an important study in urban planning, heritage conservation, and cultural identity in postcolonial India. The capital city of Gujarat, Gandhinagar, was conceived in the 1960s as a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi's ideals of simplicity, self reliance, and community living. Designed by architects H.K. Mewara and Prakash Apte, the city exemplifies a unique blend of Gandhi's philosophy and modernist urban planning principles. Gandhinagar's layout emphasizes decentralization with self-sufficient sectors or neighborhood units forming its core. Each sector is designed to function as a microcosm of the city, equipped with essential amenities like schools, parks, and markets. This approach reflects Gandhi's vision of self reliance at the grassroots level, encouraging local resilience and community interaction. A hallmark of the city is the central avenue lined with lush green and wide walkways. This feature embodies Gandhi's respect for nature and his belief in fostering a harmonious relationship between humans and the environment. The tree-lined spaces also encourages pedestrian movement and collective activities, underscoring the importance of community in urban life. However, designing Gandhinagar posed challenges. While Gandhi's ideals prioritized simplicity and sustainability, the architecture also had to incorporate modernist principles to meet the demands of a rapidly developing India. Balancing these seemingly divergent goals required innovative approaches to infrastructure, aesthetics, and functionality. Ultimately, Gandhinagar stands as an architecture and philosophical experiment, showcasing how traditional values can inform modern urbanism. Its design highlights the enduring relevance of Gandhi's principles in shaping inclusive, sustainable cities for the future. Modernism and the Indian identity. That's very crucial. We'll talk about this a little bit. The introduction of modernism in the Indian architecture and urban planning sparked intense debates about cultural identity, emerging during a post-colonial era when India was striving to define its national identity. Modernism was perceived as a tool to reject colonial styles and articulate a future-oriented, progressive vision. The clean lines, functional designs, and minimalism of modernism represented a break from the ornamental excesses associated with colonial and traditional styles. However, the Western origins of modernism often clashed with India's rich traditions, cultural diversity, and socio-economic realities. Critics argued that early modernist cities and structures often felt disconnected from the local environment and failed to resonate with the communities they served. For instance, Chandigarh, designed by Swiss French architect Le Corbusier, became a symbol of modernist urban planning in India. While lauded globally for its innovative grid-based planning and monumental architecture, many locals found it alien to their ways of life. Its rigid zoning, concrete heavy aesthetics, and lack of consideration for informal economies and vernacular culture highlighted the limitation of transplanting Western modernist ideals into Indian contexts. Indian architects such as Balakrishna Doshi, Charles Correa, and Achyuta Kanivide played pivotal roles in shaping modernism to better suit Indian needs and realities. Balakrishna Doshi, a protege of Le Corbusier, reflected on how early modernist structures in India felt out of place and began integrating cultural, social, and climatic dimensions into the design. His projects such as Ariana low cost housing in Indore showcase an approach where modernist principles of functionality and simplicity are harmonized with local materials, traditional forms, and community focused layouts. Similarly, Charles Correa sought to reconcile modernism with Indian traditions. His work is characterized by sensitivity to local culture, climate, and social structures. For example, the Jawaharlal Kendra in Jaipur blends traditional Indian motifs such as the mandala inspired layout with modernist spatial planning. The building is a powerful statement on how contemporary architecture can embody cultural identity while remaining innovative. Korea's Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad further underscores this philosophy, using minimalist forms, natural materials, and open spaces to create a structure that is both modern and deeply rooted in Indian ethos. Achyuta Kanivere, another notable figure, brought modernism into institutional and industrial architecture in India, focusing on functionality and practicality while respecting local climates and materials. Their designs for institutions such as the National Dairy Development Board and the Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur demonstrate a balance between modernist ideals and Indian needs. The evolution of modernism in India thus marked the beginning of a uniquely Indian architectural identity that embraced both innovation and tradition. This adaptation was not limited to architecture but extended to urban planning and design. Concepts such as mixed use development, respect for public spaces, and the integration of informal economies became essential considerations in the Indian context. From a broader perspective, India's approach to modernism reflects the global struggle to localize universal architectural movements. It serves as an example of how architecture can act as a medium for negotiating identity, blending the past and the future. As India continues to urbanize rapidly, these lessons remain crucial in designing spaces that respect cultural heritage while addressing contemporary challenges like sustainability, affordability, and inclusivity. In conclusion, the story of modernism in Indian architecture is one of adaptation and transformation. By embracing both the global and the local, architects like Dosi and Correa redefined modernism, creating spaces that were innovative and grounded in Indian society. This balance between tradition and modernity continues to shape the built environment of India today. Modernism's emphasis on technological advancement transformed Indian architecture. Materials like concrete, steel, and glass became the cornerstone of urban development, enabling faster and more cost effective construction. Prefabrication techniques were also introduced to address the housing demands of a growing urban population. Beyond technology, modernist urban planning aimed to address pressing social issues. Cities were designed to tackle urban congestion, provide affordable housing, and ensure equitable access to resources. However, these goals were often unmet as modernist designs prioritized aesthetics over inclusivity. For instance, Sector 17 in Chandigarh, envisioned as a pedestrian friendly commercial hub, struggled to accommodate the needs of informal workers and low income populations, highlighting the limitations of modernist planning in addressing social realities. Gandhinagar, while being an ambitious and innovative project, has had both notable successes and significant limitations in its implementation. One of the city's major achievements lies in efficient urban layout and better living conditions. The decentralized, sector based design ensures that essential services such as healthcare, education, and transportation are readily accessible to residents, contributing to a higher standard of living. By focusing on self sufficiency within each sector, Gandhinagar also aimed to reduce the pressures of urban overcrowding, providing citizens with a sense of community and autonomy. Furthermore, the city's development has stimulated local employment opportunities, particularly through the establishment of industrial zones and business districts. This growth in employment opportunities has contributed to the region's overall development, fostering industrial growth in Gujarat. Despite these successes, Gandhinagar faced significant limitations. The city's design and development largely failed to address the pressing issues of illiteracy, poverty, and adequate housing for lower income populations. While it focused on creating a modern and self sufficient urban space for the middle and upper classes, It did not effectively cater to the needs of economically weaker and rural population. The principles of modernism, with an emphasis on efficiency and aesthetics, remained largely inaccessible to those living in poverty or rural areas, leaving a large segment of the population without the benefits of the city's growth. Moreover, Gandhinagar's inclusive design goals, aimed at fostering harmony between different communities, did not succeed in reducing tensions between Hindu and Muslim population. Despite the city's physical planning efforts to create an integrated, peaceful environment, religious tensions persisted, highlighting the complex socio-political realities that the urban design could not resolve. This failure underscores the limitations of architectural planning in addressing deeply rooted societal issues like communal violence and inequality. Thus, while Gandhinagar has had some measurable success in urban planning and industrial growth, its shortcomings in social inclusion and equitable development point to the broader challenges faced by modernist urban projects in addressing the needs of all residents, particularly those from marginalized communities. In the field of architecture, several influential figures have significantly shaped the trajectory of modernist design in India, incorporating elements of local traditions and cultural context. These architects have crafted designs that harmoniously blend modernism with Indian aesthetics, reflecting both global trends and the unique needs of Indian society. Charles Cornier was a key figure in this movement, renowned for his commitment to sustainability and his deep respect for local traditions. Cornier's work often integrated natural elements like ventilation and sunlight, while also reflecting India's architectural heritage. His designs emphasized environmentally conscious approaches, addressing issues like climate and context. Korea's approach sought to create spaces that were not only modern but also connected to the local environment and culture, emphasizing simplicity and functionality. One of his notable works, Jawahar Kala Kendra in Jaipur, exemplifies this approach. The center combines traditional Rajasthani architectural forms with modernist design elements, creating a space that respects the local vernacular while offering a contemporary experience. The design, open courtyards, use of local materials, and geometric precision reflect a deep understanding of both local culture and modern design principles. Balakrishna Doshi, another influential architect, integrated modernist ideals with Indian cultural context. Doshi's work focused on how modernist architecture could be adapted to suit India's unique social, climatic, and cultural needs. His designs emphasize flexibility, adaptability, and the creation of spaces that promote community interaction. For Doshi, modernism was not a foreign concept, but one that could evolve from and complement local practices. Achyuta Kanivide is known for integrating modernist principles into institutional designs, focusing on functionality and simplicity. Kanivide's work often incorporated modernist ideas such as the use of concrete and clean lines, while also considering the institutional needs of educational and governmental buildings. His designs balance the demands of modernity with the practicality required by the institution they served. These architects made significant contributions to the development of a distinctive Indian modernism, one that doesn't blindly imitate Western trends, but instead merges global architectural innovation with local cultural and environmental sensitivities. Through their work, they have shown that modernism can be adapted and transformed to suit the diverse and complex landscape of India. Early enthusiasm for modernist designs, particularly in post independence India, was driven by the belief that rational, functional planning could create ideal cities. However, critics soon grew skeptical, arguing that these designs overlooked critical social realities. High illiteracy rates and entrenched caste and communal divisions were not addressed in the sterile, top down planning of modernist architecture. A notable example is the bifurcation of Chandigarh, which was intended to be a symbol of modernity and unity. Instead, it inadvertently led to urban sprawl as the division between Punjab and Haryana triggered fragmented development. This disjunction between the modernist vision and ground level social and cultural conditions highlighted the inadequacy of purely rational planning in addressing the complex needs of a diverse developing society. Modernism reshaped Indian society, with cities like Chandigarh and Bhubaneswar becoming symbols of progress and industrialization. However, the rapid urbanization driven by modernist ideals often created tension between urban and rural communities. Migrants from rural areas faced significant challenges in adapting to the rigid structures of modernist cities, while traditional practices and cultural landscapes were often disrupted. Bhubaneswar attempts to preserve temple complexes amidst an urban transformation illustrate these tensions. While the city successfully integrated its cultural heritage into its design, the process underscored the complexities of balancing tradition and modernization. Modernism laid the foundation for urban planning in India, but also highlighted the need for more context sensitive approaches. From 1990s onwards, Indian urban planning shifted towards postmodernism, emphasizing inclusivity, sustainability, and cultural sensitivity. Slum redevelopment projects and participatory initiatives became central to urban policy, reflecting a more holistic approach to city building. The redevelopment of Dharavi in Mumbai, for example, illustrates this transition by integrating marginalized communities into the urban fabric. Such projects represent a move away from the rigid frameworks of modernism towards a more inclusive vision of urban development. Modernism in India was a bold experiment that redefined urban landscapes and national identity. While it introduced innovative paradigms in architecture and urban planning, it also faced significant challenges in addressing India's social and cultural realities. Reflecting on these experiments underscores the importance of contextualizing urban planning within the diverse needs of society. Future cities must balance technological advancements with cultural inclusivity to truly reflect the aspirations of a modern nation. Thank you.